In this video, I'm gonna share with you the only opening you will ever need if you are below 2000 ELO as black. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. And today we are gonna play as black against Manuel here, 2100 rated bot on chess.com, and I'm gonna share with you the only opening that you can master as black, and you don't need anything else at all, no matter what your opponent is playing, e4 or d4 or c4 or knight f3. You don't care, just play the same thing, but if you understand the system well, then you're going to be unbeatable. And this starts with the move d6. I like it so much, I play it on my level 2400 and I have so much success with it. Yes, of course, if you are playing on my level something for a very long time, then you could get into trouble because your opponent will prepare with you with the computer, and then you are in trouble because nobody can deal with the computer. But if you're playing online, if your opponent is not specifically preparing against you, then this opening is perfect for you. I have played it against Hikaru Nakamura, Alireza Firouzja, Linier Dominguez. I have, by the way, completely crushed Linier Dominguez top 15 in the world with this exact opening I'm showing to you. So it's a very legitimate, very cool opening, but it's not the mainline theory. So people are just not specifically preparing for it, especially at the level you are currently are. So you're going to have a lot of experience in it if you're going to constantly play it, if you understand all of the right ideas, and you don't need to learn a lot of theory in this variation. You just need to remember where the pieces belong, understand a few key ideas, and basically you're good to go to start playing it. Of course, with the time, you're going to understand even more and more, especially when you analyze your games. By the way, we have transferred here into the mainline theory of the Philidor defense. Philidor defense starts here with the move e5. That's the starting position. So it doesn't matter whether your opponent plays e4 or d4 first, it could still transpose if after d4, d6 he plays e4, or after e4, d6 he plays d4. Okay, he plays knight f3. This is one of the possible ways. He could have also taken on e5, which results in a very, very cool opening endgame after queen takes d8. Don't be afraid of it. I have made a video for you where I show how exactly to handle it. And after this one, you can definitely take a look. That would be very helpful. But this is the main line, knight to f3. The opponent wants to play actively. He attacks the pawn. So we do the same. We play knight to d7. Bishop c4, and this bishop is going to e7. Now, don't be afraid of this bishop takes f7. This is just a bad move, basically a trap if you want. For white, you can never take it if black knows what to do. And just a few important variations there, and you are good to go. Otherwise, castles, castles, and we actually get the main variation here. Linier Dominguez, by the way, played exactly this line against me. And then the key move here for black is to play this move c6. Quite little move, but it's controlling this key d5 square and this b5 square, which enables me to play b5 next move if my opponent doesn't play a4 and stops it. Well, in this case, Manuel decided to do that, but that's also fine, that's still the main line. Then I play a5 to stop his pawn so that it doesn't go to a5. And then my position is still very, very solid. And the great thing is, you don't care if you're playing against Manuel here, against Nelson with 1300 rating on chess.com, or against Magnus Carlsen with 2800 classical ELO chess rating. You can still play it, and you know that nothing bad can happen to you in the first, like, already 9 moves, but I'm gonna show you a little bit more as well. So he plays bishop e3. The main line is rook to e1, but okay, bishop e3 is basically kind of the same thing. Now we have some fancy stuff here with knight takes e4. That is absolutely possible. One of the main ideas, knight takes, and then d5. In certain variations, it works pretty well, not against the rook to e1 move, but I guess it's possible. But okay, it's not that necessary. Let me show you the main line, which is knight to b6 here. We are attacking this bishop. The bishop has to go away, because if he takes on e5, we are just capturing this bishop. Okay, he goes back to e2. Normally you go back to a2 so that the bishop is a little bit more active, but well, people on this level, they don't understand everything, so of course they're gonna make some mistakes. But in this case, I guess we can just take on d4. If bishop is not going to this line, it goes to that side, we can just take and play d5, and just fight for the center. Doesn't matter which opening you're playing, it's always important to fight for the center, because that is the most important thing in the game, the most important part of the board. Who controls the center controls the flow of the game. Our opponent plays e5, attacking the knight, and also his idea is to play e6. So we don't want to get to d7, we play knight to e8 so that our bishop still controls that square. And then we want to play g6 and knight to g7. And we are good to go here on the king side. In fact, we are going to be stronger here, potentially. Also, our opponent wastes time. You never want to make too many moves with the same piece. Also, we have here a very huge idea. I'm not sure, might be the case that we can do it right now. Just play c5, then I go somewhere, and we play d4, forking those two pieces. Of course, we should not do it blindly. We should calculate the variations. We should always think what our opponent can do. But I don't know, d5, knight can go to f5. That's an active move. By the way, I can just exchange it if I want. Bishop takes and then d4. Or d4 straight away. Yeah, I don't think there is anything. Like, okay, queen h5 is a checkmate threat in one, I cannot ignore it, but I simply play g6, attacking the queen, blocking that diagonal, nothing dangerous. Bishop h7, king takes, queen h5, king g8 back. Once again, I don't see absolutely anything. Knight f5 then, I just take it. I don't care. Yeah, seems like c5 is already winning the game. So it's one of the tactical ideas you have in such a position, but normally I would just play, if he wouldn't have blundered that, g6, knight to a g7, and then even f6, open up this f file, and I have more potential here in the center. I have more pawns. This d5 pawn is beautiful. Plays that, but there are no threats here at all. You always want to play on the side of the board where you are stronger. In this case, my opponent is going here where he is not stronger at all. He has nothing to do here. He's stronger here, so he should have tried to play knight f5 and play for some checkmate. Maybe his idea after the move d4 is to take it back. I take it, and then he plays bishop d4, and here it's very important for me not to blindly take it with the queen, because very famous bishop takes h7 trap, and I'm losing my queen. But I still win a piece there. d4, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. I have won a piece for 2 pawns. Yes, I cannot take there, but I still win a piece. I like that, because otherwise I'm not winning it, so I have to use my opportunity right now. Okay, he plays that, but as I mentioned, it's not dangerous at all. I just played the move g6. h6 would be a bad move because he can sacrifice his bishop and then my king is naked, but this way it's all very, very solid. Even if he plays that, I mean, I just take the bishop, and next move I'm also threatening bishop g5, which is like winning the entire queen, and not ignore that. Yeah, queen takes, okay. So now I have an extra piece for just 1 pawn, which is great. I have still to bring all of my pieces into the game. So let me play. Yeah, he has some rook d1 ideas. I have to be a little bit careful with my queen. So maybe I just play queen d5, knight d5, sorry, and exchange more stuff. Because the more pieces I exchange, the simpler it's gonna get. Knight g7 would be a normal plan, but I'm a little bit worried about this move rook to d1, because now if I play queen e8 with an idea to hide from the rook, then there is knight c7 with the fork. That's a little bit annoying. Of course, I can play bishop d7 there or something, but it's a little bit passive. Although, yeah, I also don't really see anything wrong with it. Bishop d7, then next move queen c8, and that should be good to go. Or maybe just bishop, yeah, bishop e6 is actually the most reasonable move. I bring a new piece into the game. I make space for my queen here on c8, yes, against rook to d1, so that bishop g6 is not possible. Bishop g6 is very annoying. But I'm a big fan of bringing all of your pieces into the game before you start really going on and attack. Like I played here d4 before I have developed all of my pieces. I give it that to you, but I have won a piece. Like it's a good enough reason to break this golden principle that otherwise I always try to follow. Okay, I like that my opponent finally is developing all of his pieces. I want to do the same. Bring my knight to g7, potentially to f5. I'm never afraid of knight e6 because I can just exchange it. If I have extra material, I'm always happy to exchange as much material as possible. Yes, I'm doing exactly that. I'm not really worried about the weaknesses on the dark squares because my opponent doesn't have any dark squares bishop. So that's not a problem. Yeah, I guess I can just play rook e8. Just bringing a new piece into the game. Placing the rook against the queen on the same file is always a great thing to do. Maybe I have to block this d7 square somehow so that it's not dangerous, but right now I have like 3 attackers. Okay, now it's time. I can actually just play bishop d7. That would protect this rook. It's now protected many times enough. And I'm also about to exchange this bishop because my opponent has to do something about this queen. Okay, knight e4 is actually a strong idea. Now knight f6 is a threat. So every time your opponent makes a move, you have to forget about all of your plans for a second. Like I wanted to take here the bishop, but I have to forget about all of that and think about my opponent's threat, which is knight to f6. And this is not a threat you want to ignore, because after king h8, he might not even, like, you can understand one threat, knight takes e8, but there is another one. He can go queen h6, and then that would be a checkmate threat. This is very, very serious. Do not ignore it. This video is brought to you by Chestnut. Chestnut is making amazing chessboards that allow you to play online from a real 3D board. They have high quality chessboards, nice looking chess pieces, so that you can enjoy and having fun playing it. Chestnut boards also have so many training functions that I absolutely love to use to my training, and it helps me to improve my chess every day. This is, for example, Chestnut EVO. I love to use it for my trainings, but they have so much to offer you depending on your preferences and your budget. And the best part is you can just use the promo code Journey to Grandmaster or click the link in the description to get a big discount on all of the Chestnut products. I have here the move knight f5 to deal with it, or just king to h8 immediately. Yeah, I actually have to take it seriously. I cannot ignore such a thing. Maybe I just play queen to d8, just physically stopping that move knight f6. And then knight f5 is coming. Yeah, I like it, I control everything. c5 pawn, yes, I might lose it, but don't really care. Although queen takes, yeah, queen takes makes some sense. Rook c8. I develop all of my pieces, which is great, but I lose quite a lot of pawns. Okay, is there a way to avoid it? The pawn is actually attacked twice, so it's not like I can really avoid that. Maybe I can force it with knight f5. Then if knight f6, I have king to h8. And he cannot take my rook because I'm attacking his queen. But I don't know, still some weaknesses here, queen g5 or something. Yeah, I guess queen d8 is the safest way just to stop my opponent's initiative whatsoever. And I'm also protecting this knight on b6, so in case of queen c5, that wouldn't be an issue. Okay, queen to c3. Yeah, I actually like how my opponent is playing this part of the game, because once again, knight f6 is a huge threat. It's so important, then I might even need to take it on e4 just to avoid this knight f6. Yeah, that is a big threat. Maybe I was too frivolous with those threats. I can still play rook to e6 trying to defend that, but somehow it feels a little bit risky. Okay, bishop c4 is still not possible. Rook e6, bishop c4 to attack it, I just take it. Knight c5, I just take that rook, also fine. Bishop takes, I take with the knight. Yeah, that's actually fine. Okay, let me play that, because now, if needed, I also can go back with my knight and once again control that key square. Maybe that knight to g7 was not necessary. Okay, that helps me, I think, because now I am just exchanging a bunch of pieces on e1, on b5, and the more pieces I exchange, the simpler it gets, because in the end of the day, I still have an extra piece. Yes, my opponent has now 3 pawns, which is pretty much enough to compensate the piece, but I still hope that we have enough pieces on the board so that pieces mean more than pawns. Although this guy is, of course, very active. Okay, b7 is hanging. Maybe I can just play queen c8. Oh no, g7. Yeah, that's really tougher than I thought. Even though I have got a very, very cool position out of the opening, everything was great. But yeah, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to my opponent's threats, which, by the way, you should never do. And I got here in some kind of troubles. So I have to, should be still fine, but have to be a little bit careful. Maybe knight d7 solves my problems, because I want to exchange this powerful piece. If he takes on d7, not a problem, takes back. Knight takes b7 is the most active move, but then I play queen to b6, which is a double threat. I attack this knight and I attack this pawn. And very important that this knight is blocking the pawn. He can still protect the knight, but then I can even take on b5. Or maybe play rook e8 first, which would be much better. Yeah, I like it. Knight to d7. Once I exchange all of minor pieces of my opponent, then my knight would really make a huge difference. Yeah, I'm actually not sure whether this knight is going back, because it doesn't have a lot of squares to go. Yes, he can protect it. But let me think for a second. If I just play rook to b8, what the knight is doing? I don't see any escape for this piece. The pawns are still not fast enough. Like, if the pawn would be already on c4, then after rook b8 he could play c5, queen takes c6, then take back this guy, then yeah, maybe he has some chances. I mean, the pawns are pretty fast, but I just play... I mean, I have also rook e8, but I think queen c6 is a problem. So rook b8, knight a5, knight c5, I always take the knight. It has no moves to go. It has no defenders. Okay, he grabs it, but yes, he has a lot of pawns here, but I have two knights. That's just way too much to handle. 4, okay, he tries, but I play knight e6. I'm gonna control. I also like the fact that I'm basically blocking all of those pawns. e5 is not possible. Yeah, he has to play something like that, but that's not active. Okay, how do I win this position? It's one thing to get a winning position, and it's another one to really convert it into a full point. The most difficult thing in chess is to win the winning position. So first of all, this knight is great here. It's blocking the pawn. This knight is also great here. It's like covering all of the weaknesses. Still stopping that move. Maybe I just play queen to b4. Although he plays queen c6. I still might take here though, because I'm attacking the rook. Yeah, I like it. I create a threat here, and I create another threat. Rook takes b5, because this pawn is pinned, and my queen is attacking that queen. Okay, he deals with both of them, but now I can just play, oops, queen to c5 or something. Although once the queens are off the board, those pawns are starting to move. What else can I do? Maybe I can also play rook b6 and just attack this pawn again. Because he doesn't have an easy way to defend it. Queen d3, I can continue like knight e to c5, attacking that guy twice. I can play that immediately, by the way, and still control this back rank. Maybe it's best. The knights are protecting each other, and I'm threatening to take that b3 pawn. He can play rook b1 to protect it, but that's a very passive move. I cannot be afraid of it. Okay, that is more active, but that is why I wanted to leave my rook on the back rank, so it's under control, and I don't see any threats. Everything is protected, so I'm simply just taking that pawn. Takes. Yeah, now I'm absolutely fine with queen exchange, because those pawns are stopped. They have no way to go forward, and otherwise I would always be able to win the pawns. Just go back with the knight. The knights are great when they are protecting each other, if there is no way to attack one of them with the pawns. That's not the case. Rook a7, I can just play rook b6 and attack this guy on d6. Now I'm gonna start taking those pawns one by one. This guy is fallen. This check is not a threat for me, since I have a luft for my king in the safety, and now I'm ready to pick up the second. Okay, at this point it's becoming simple, so let me do it very fast for you. Finally, that's a checkmate here. That was a very nice game. I hope you understood the main ideas of this opening, and of course I have made an entire course where I cover all of the variations and many details, explain all of the ideas. That the only opening that if you understand it, you can play it against everything, and you're going to be good to go score so many points. Get the $200 limited time discount with the link in the description, and forget about all opening pain once and for all. And in this video I explain what exactly you should do to outplay your opponent if he goes for that fillet or endgame with d takes e5.